Okay, it's time to start working on Mismatch, my little Poulan Pro lawn tractor I picked up from Facebook Marketplace roughly a month ago. It's basically just been sitting in the backyard waiting for its turn. At the time when I got this, I was still working on push mowers. They're mostly done. I still have a couple more I want to work on eventually, but I wouldn't mind getting this machine done and possibly gone sooner rather than later. I've only heard it run once. The engine does have a couple little issues. It does like to race, but the governor does appear to be in good condition, so I'm thinking it's carburetor linkage or a spring. Secondly, the paint on this isn't the greatest. As you can see, it has a completely different hood from what would have came on this machine originally. I found this hood locally for free, so I put it on. It's much better than what was on here. As for the rear fender, I might paint it black. I have black spray paint, and I think it would actually look better black than it does red, since it's scraped up in a few different spots from the previous owner having the seat safety bypassed and having a clamp rubbing up against the body, to having a massive rust spot in the back near the battery. What I'll do is I'll mask off the Poulan label right there. I'm sorry, it's a Poulan XT, and I'll probably not mask off that one, and everything else will just get painted straight gloss black up into the dash, this lower part of the dash as well. The top part I'll leave the way it is, and the deck is supposed to work, but he said it rattles, so I gotta figure out why it's rattling and go from there. This machine does have the newer setup steering that uses two arms. Some call it the MTD style, some call it the John Deere. I personally call it the John Deere. But when I looked at this machine, the steering is nice and straight on it, which is good. A lot of times one rod gets bent or the other rod gets bent, it throws off the steering, and it's a pain in the butt to work on. But this one here, nice and straight and true. The wheel is nice and straight and true for the most part. There we go. It's got a little bit of play, but nothing that I really have to worry about. The engine, like I said, has a racing issue, but the carburetor leaks gas as well, so that has to be taken apart and figure out what's going on with that, or replace it, which I should have a good replacement in my hoard. As for the casings, they're all holding air at the moment. I put fixer flat in the front left and the rear right. As for the battery, I do have a replacement right there, but I'm going to try and bring this one back. No guarantees on that. And that's pretty well it. I didn't pay much of anything for this. I won't have much of anything into it in the end, and I'm hoping that I can sell it for a bit of a profit. Really, first time for me working on one of these little tiny AYP style machines. They're definitely interesting. They're pretty much the same setup as the larger ones, but it has a 30-inch deck, has smaller hoops and casings, had a much smaller hood without headlights, but this one is wired for headlights, and the machine actually comes pre-wired for headlights as well, which is kind of weird when it doesn't even have switches or anything like that for headlights. So I'll probably wire them on constantly. The oil in this is actually surprisingly clean, but I don't know if it's been leaking gas to it. But it is clean and it's to the line, so that's actually a good thing. But the air filter does need to be replaced. So that's pretty much it for the intro to this machine. We'll get working on it and see what I find as time goes on. So I'll talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment. And this is what I use for flat repairs, flat out. I did use Tire Jet at one time, but I find this stuff works way better.